back with another one. Today we have the Prelude in. This is a good customer of Brian's. This is our first time doing business for him, and we're super excited. I think this thing's like a 98. Pretty clean overall. I mean, it's dirty because of some mud, but pretty clean car overall. It's got an H22A in it. We are going to be fixing a bunch of vacuum leaks, doing timing chain tensioner. The alternator does not charge, and I just pulled it in this morning. I don't know what we got going on. So, it's leaking some power steering fluid. He did mention that it's been whining really bad. I don't know what that's all about. It is kind of chilly this morning. I don't know. We will see. Anyways, bunch of little stuff, and I gotta do a valve adjustment on this. We did a leak down, compression. I'll post pictures of those. Everything was really good. It's all super close, but it definitely needs a valve adjustment. So we'll be doing that. Things here and there. So let's dive into this thing. I hope you guys enjoy the video, and this thing's gonna rip. Alright, so I just got some accessories taken off this thing. We got to do an alternator on it, so that's why I removed it. I took the brackets off because it just gave me a little bit more room here. Took the dipstick out. I like to have room to play with things. I got the crank bolt broke loose. That'll come out real easy. What I'm doing now is just setting everything top dead center. So when I get the new timing belt, I can just switch them out. Super easy. I got to pull this motor mount, pull the lower cover yet. But I just wanted to show you guys real quick, kind of why I'm doing a timing belt and all the valve adjustment, I guess. When this came in, we did a compression test. I think it was 230 across the board, which is really good numbers. Actually closer to like 240, but say 230 across the board. And so we did a cylinder leak down test on it. The cylinder leak down came good on 3 and 4, I want to say. 1 and 2 had a little bit extra leak down. So it was like, okay. And then when you ran it and you pulled the air intake off, it made a really funny noise through the intake. So that was just a sign to me that it needed done. Anyways, the belt here, that's the slap that we're playing with. It is way too excessive. When we're loose there, we're tight here. So if I pull, you can actually see the belt move there. So that means that cam's walking that much while this thing's running. That could be some of our funky idle. It'll clean itself out, and that's kind of like when everything catches up. But I think on the initial, it just kind of a little wonky there. And then if I rotate it around, you'll see, oop, now there's no tension in that, and there's no tension here. But if I keep rotating, right there, we have slack here, and we have a lot of slack now in the front of the belt. And that is not what we're after. That thing is just bouncing around down there. Anyways, that's what we're working with. That's why we're doing a belt. It necessarily may not need one, but the customer does not know the status of this belt. He bought the car used. Makes sense just to go ahead and do one. I'm gonna set everything top dead center. We're gonna pull the belt, tensioner, all that good stuff, and we're doing a water pump while we're at it. Just kind of makes sense. Anyways, let's dive back into a time lapse here and get this knocked out. So we went ahead, got the timing belt off. I'm going to clean all that up real good before I go ahead and pull that water pump, just so I don't get no grime or anything down in there. H22s are a little bit different than B series and K series. This one here, I believe, has had a timing belt tensioner done on it at some time, and either A, this was a factory no auto tension, or B, somebody switched it to a manual tensioner. The reason I say that it's been like this a while, or was done a long time ago, because there's no belt, no spring, no nothing for this auto tensioner side. So this is our regular tensioner, and I think I'll probably just put it back together this way without this. This would have been for your auto tensioner stuff back in the day, but again, like I said, it has not been on this engine for quite some time. And then right down there, that really rusty sprocket, that is also part of the auto tensioner, I believe, and so is this guy right down here in the front, this one right here. I believe that's what all that is. I could be completely wrong. I'm gonna do a little research, see if that's something that actually might need to be hooked back up on this car. I don't believe so, because it's been like that for a while, like I said, but we will see. I'm waiting for parts from O'Reilly's to come in. Once those parts come in, we'll blast all this thing back together and get it on the road. All right, y'all, the old rusty, crusty water pump's off of there. That guy must have been leaking at some point. Somebody gooped it up. I believe there was just some straight water ran in this at some point too. Kind of makes sense. Anyways, all that's off. I kind of cleaned it up down there a little bit. I still got a little bit more to go. But right now, I'm getting ready to do my valve adjustment. I believe the adjustment on this H22 should be the same as the rest of them. It'll be 1, 3, 4, 2. And that'll kind of let us know where we're at. If you see here, I have this in number 4 cylinder. That was to check top dead center because 4 and 1 are up at the same time. So that's why we did that there. But now that I know I'm top dead center on number 1, I can go ahead, loosen those, adjust them, and kind of go from there. I think, yeah, this valve is way out of adjustment. That one's not too bad. Oh yeah, those are way out. You can just kind of feel it. Once you guys get the feel for it, you'll know the feel. It'll just be the right feel on the fingertips. Anyways, let's jump into a time lapse and go ahead and do these valves. All right, we finally got all the parts we needed for this Prelude. That was a little bit of a struggle here. So the Preludes, there might be other Honda engines out there, but the H22 in particular uses an auto tensioner. The way the auto tensioner works, I think I described this, is it uses this shaft here and that counter shaft back there, a whole bunch of pulley things, a tensioner in there, yada yada. It's very confusing. This car, luckily, whoever did the swap back in the day, got rid of the auto tensioner. When you call O'Reilly's, for you guys working on your H22 Preludes, get a tensioner for a 93, 94 Prelude, single overhead cam. Single. Get a timing belt and a water pump for an H22, H23. That'll work, dual overhead cam. This guy right here is a single overhead cam tensioner, and it is the exact same one I pulled out of the car. Here's my new one. Here's the old one. They're identical. Just like that, see? So, it is a single overhead cam tensioner that's in that car. We got it, thank goodness. New belt, new water pump, and a new alternator. So let's go ahead, get all these parts slapped in there, get this car running. Just like that, we have a water pump. Now I am going to do tensioner and all that, get it all reset and put onto that stud there, and then we will go ahead and slap the timing belt on. After the belt's on, finish up my valve adjustment. I did cylinder 1 already on both those, 8 and 10, so that's good. Boom, 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 slap it all together. Let's jump back into a time lapse. As soon as I turned the camera off, because I was getting a little fluttered with this belt thinking it was the wrong one, I turned this cam gear just a little bit and the belt slipped on. Dang nabbit, I tell you. Anyways, timing belt's on now. I don't even need to tension that thing. It's so dang tight as it is. Just kidding, just kidding. We'll tension that thing up, get it all nice and jazzy the way it ought to be. I don't even know how to tension this thing. Just kidding, I do. It's the same as B-Series. I'm gonna put all this nonsense back on there and keep trucking on. So let's see if we can't get this thing running by the end of the day here. pretty smooth. We got the timing belt on there. It's all nice and tight all the way around. I went ahead and got all the accessories put back on. We got the fresh alternator on there. We've got the power steering pump back on. That may have to come back off and get replaced, but we will see. It may just have some air in the system, so we'll bleed it and see what it does. Right now I'm going to go ahead and do the valve adjustment. After the valve adjustment, I'm gonna throw the valve cover on, fire this thing up, see how it's running. I got a few vacuum leaks we gotta fix. A few things on the back of the intake there that we're gonna take care of and address. I believe we may have a throttle body leaking, so I might have to pull this strut tower bar loose, fix that throttle body. It looks like it's just held on by some gasket maker there. So we may have to make a homemade gasket for that, no big deal. Fix some of these vacuum lines. And then this thing should be rocking and rolling here. We'll look over our list, see what we got and what we've done, and go from there. So let's jump into this valve adjustment. All right, and just like that, guys, we did a valve adjustment on this. They're pretty easy. This one, as you say, I had to monkey around. Those back ones are kind of a bugger, especially the H22, because it's got a nose on this Prelude. Getting back there is a little bit bugger, but just kind of monkey around. I just stood up on the bar on the battery and did them, and it all went pretty easy. Anyways, all that's done. It's now time to throw a valve cover back on this thing, hook up some wiring, put some plugs in it, fix some vacuum leaks, fire it up. So that should be about that. Then we got to look into the headlights. There's a stripped bolt on the hood that we got to look at. A few little things there, but overall, let's finish this job out. That's what I'm talking about. This thing seems happy. I got to figure out what the check engine light's on for. It might be an O2 sensor or something. Who's to say? I can run the code. This thing's idling pretty dang good. Sounds much better. Everything seems real happy. Belt's all tight, everything's good there. I like it. Pretty dang good. So I went through, cleaned up some of my vacuum leaks. I'm gonna let this thing run a second. There it is. There it is. I need to put coolant in it yet. That's one thing I guess I totally just now realized I forgot it. And then I need to check to make sure the battery's charging. Make sure all these coolant lines are good. This one, I might actually hook this one up on the IAC before I put coolant in. So right off the IAC right there is a nipple that's plugged, and then right here, that one is plugged. So what I'm thinking of doing is running a hose from there to there, and then that should help clean up some of this idle issue. It's idling really good actually right now, but that will help most definitely. And a little bit of up and down might have been due to no coolant actually flowing through the IAC. Anyways, that's where we're at on this. I'm gonna button this thing up, clean it all up, get the hood fixed and put on it, headlights working, all the small stuff. Then I will catch you guys when we're giving this one a bath. Man, it's a beautiful day here in Texas, let me tell you. Anyways, making good progress on the Prelude. It's running pretty good. I've got a few little things to figure out. I had to redo my valve adjustment. I did 6 and 8, 6 intake, 8, or excuse me, I did 8 intake, 10 exhaust. They were a little loose. So I went back through, did them 6 and 8. That seemed to help a ton. Injectors make quite a bit of noise. I thought that was I thought my ticking noise was valves, but it's actually the injectors. I put my old ear on there with a flathead, and that's definitely the noise. Them injectors are making a bunch of noise. But there's always something, you know? It can never be a real easy, smooth things go well type job, especially when it's me trying to do it. All right, I thought I was about done with this, but I developed a really weird idle, and you guys can see there's oil all over the place. So I actually pulled the valve, pulled all the spark plugs, wires, pulled the valve cover off, and then I put all the wires back in, and I started this car up and let it run at idle. I thought maybe I had a collapsed lifter or something not working there. It was making kind of a weird noise, but that's all seems to be good. What the funky idle is wiring. So this is all covered in oil, and right down here it's super hard to see, but on this injector wire there's bare wires. There's bare wire right there, and there's bare wire right there. Super hard to see, but there is bare wires. I took my flathead screwdriver and just barely touched one of them on, just trying to see if it was a wire. Car died instantly. Fired it back up, touch it, die. So we've got an electrical issue, and the oil that I got all over it is kind of making it an intermittent deal. So what we're gonna do now is wash this up, get the whole car washed, check it again. We're gonna wash up Donovan's car. This thing's looking really good. Front bumper's all on it, car's all together. Little things left to do on it, but real snazzy here. We've got the 8th gen getting a bath, and then this one here we're gonna get a engine bay bath because it's getting ready to get a K-series dropped in it, so we want to get that all looking as good as we can. And we're rearranging the shop again. We've got Doug's car moved. It's coming right along. I think our belt came in for it, so today I'm going to do the belt, play some more wiring, maybe hook up coolant if I get around to it. That'll be a good step on Doug's. And then here's the newest project, the good old EG coupe. Most likely getting a V20 put in it, I would assume. And that's going to be a good little daily track car for my wife and Donovan's wife, April. There's the update for the day. Hope you guys are enjoying the video. Let's see what we can finish out on this Prelude so I can end out this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. All right, I'm not sure where we ended off with Brian's. We had to do a second valve adjustment because I thought that the valves were making a little noise in the higher RPMs, but it's actually the lost motions making noise in the higher RPMs. It's very common on these. It's common on B series engines actually as well. Could be common on K series too. I'm just not familiar with them yet. But all of them seem to use them, and this just seems to be making a little bit of noise. Nothing that's crazy scary. It runs awesome. We have a few little things we got to figure out ECU wise with it. It runs really good, but we have a little, if the check engine light's off on it, it kind of acts like the eye acts bad. But if the check engine light's on, this thing runs beautiful. Idles are great, everything runs really good. I tried chasing it down. We found some bad injector clips, so I fixed those clips. But other than that, the car is definitely ready to go home. It went really well. Timing belt, water pump, tensioner. Somebody had already done a manual tensioner on this, so that made that easy. But overall, the car went really well. We cleaned up some things. We fixed the power steering pump on it as well. It was squealing and just leaking fluid. I thought maybe it needed bled, so I tried bleeding it, and it just puked all the fluid back out again. So we went ahead and put a new pump on it, bled it, put fluid in it. Seems to be working great. So hopefully, cross our fingers, that's all that issue was there. But anyways, Brian is going to come pick this thing up today. It is Saturday. I wanted to make sure everything was good with it this morning. Pulled all the cars out. That's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoy watching these. This is just going to be a quick one. We've got a big build with Doug's coming out, so that one will be coming out here shortly. And y'all stay blessed. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.